Good morning. I'm Kia, sophomore, class 2012, political science major. And I wanted to take a more controversial perspective. There's a stereotype that says that women are, I want to say, emotional creatures, and that when we make decisions, we base it off of our feelings. And I want to ask, what do you think about that stereotype? Is that true for you? Have you experienced that stereotype? And being that in the workplace, it's the majority is men.
I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and I don't know that it could be gender specific, it may not be. I just think that's how I'm made up. So I've had to work at not showing that, and if I'm angry, it's all in body language too, all that comes across. Nervousness, things of that nature. So I try to not overthink it. Sometimes you can overthink and that can mess you up. But just be cognizant of the fact that I know that my emotion is typically, it's outward. In terms of making decisions, I'm a very logical, coming from a computer science and technical background. I don't really struggle with making emotional decisions. Sometimes I think, even in relationships, you look at it like it's a business merger. I've had that said because I'm more of a logical thinker. So I don't struggle with emotional-based decisions, but I do struggle with if somebody's upset me at work or something is not quite right, trying to tone down, keep the poker face. That's something that I continue to work on.
I'm a little different from you. I'm very emotional, but the place where I have a choice is what comes out of my mouth. So I can think all kinds of things in my head, and I check my face and make sure that my face, because you don't want to play poker with me, my face looks like a book. But check my face and keep my thoughts in my head and take a moment. I know I need a moment. Something is immediately, I need to get away from that for a moment, pause in a nice professional manner, tell them that I'll get back to them. And if I need to go in my office and cry, I will do that by myself. If I need to call one of my mentors, I will call them and get some insight and some advice. But it is important that you don't immediately react to all of the things that happen to you, because they want to see that you can handle the peaks and the valleys that you're going to face in the career world. And just having the right demeanor and maintaining professionalism at all times is important. So, I don't say get rid of your emotions in your gut. I feel that they talk to you and tell you really important things about the decisions that you're going to make, so you should acknowledge them. But in the work setting, it's important to maintain that professionalism. If you need to regroup and come back and address a matter later, that's the best decision if it's what's going to maintain a professional environment.
Yeah, I think it's a positive that you're sensitive. Russ, my co-anchor, we're both tearing up during all these terrible stories about children. He has 7 children, so everything affects him. So I'm like, not trying to look at him, so I don't start him and whatever. And in story conferences, where we talk about how we're going to cover a story, we have a meeting at 2:30 in the afternoon to talk about the coverage for the night. And I find myself more times than not speaking up from a Black perspective because they forget. I don't always like having to be in that position, but it makes a difference to have someone to have a voice. I've been in situations where, trying to deal with management and contract negotiations, where they try to beat you up and belittle you, and you're so lucky and fortunate to have a job. And I was upset about a story, a child that had been missing had been found dead, and the news director scooped me up and took me up to the general manager's office 20 minutes before the newscast time to try to get me to take this contract. And I said, well, no, I wasn't ready. That wasn't what I wanted. And they just kept going, and unfortunately, I welled up. But it wasn't really about them so much as I was upset about the news, and I knew I needed to go on the air and now be ready to perform. So I learned from that. It wasn't a proud moment, but it happened. But I learned from that. And because the contract situation had not been resolved, I knew it was going to come around again. So I thought about it, and I said, okay, when he comes around to scoop me up, I'm not going to go directly with him up to the GM's office. We walked out the hall, and the bathroom was there. I said, excuse me, I'm going to stop in the restroom. And I went in the restroom, and I centered myself, and I prayed, And I said, the difference from last time was that I kept trying to talk and engage with them and go back and forth, and they were beating me up back and forth, and I was trying to defend myself, so I got very defensive. So I said, I'm going in there and I'm going to listen. And I'd made up my mind. It was about going to the main slot from the morning show. Well, I didn't have to take the main slot, and I enjoyed the morning show. So I decided my happiness on the newscast was more important than the position and the additional money that it might bring. So I had my game plan ready. So sure enough, the next day he scoops me up and he said, excuse me. And then we went upstairs and I just listened. And they didn't rattle me because I just kept my focus. But I prepared from that. But it was because I learned from my prior mistake. And you're going to make mistakes. And don't beat yourself up about it. Just learn what you need to learn and then do better the next time. As Maya says, when we know better, we do better.
Thank you.